let's talk about calculating overtime. So I'm going to take a look at number 8 and number 15. In number 8, we have Peter, who's paid $13.76 an hour, and he worked 44 hours. Now there's two ways we can do this. This particular problem asks you to do the overtime premium approach. But we're going to do it both ways. We're going to do it the regular way, and we're going to do it the premium approach. All right, in the regular method, we're going to take his 40 hours times his normal rate of $13.76 and we got $550.40. Then we take his regular rate of pay, which is $13.76. We multiply that times time and a half, which is 1.5. We get $20.64 per hour. That's his overtime rate. Then we multiply his overtime rate times how many overtime hours he had. He had 4 overtime hours. So that's $82.56. Now, I'm going to take his regular earnings of $550.40 and his overtime earnings for his 4 overtime hours of $82.56. And I get $632.96. So that would be his gross wages. Now let's take a look at redoing the same problem, only this time we're going to use the premium approach. In this one, we take all of his hours, which is 44, and multiply it times his regular rate of $13.76. That gives us $605.44. Now I'm going to take his regular rate, only instead of multiplying it times time and a half, I'm just going to multiply it times the half. And I get $688. That's known as his overtime premium. Now I'm going to take that times how many overtime hours did he work, which is 4, get $27.52. Now, once again, I'm going to take his regular earnings and his overtime premium, and add those together, and again, I get $632.96. So either way will get me to the correct answer. Sometimes you don't have a choice as to which method to use. Sometimes you need to use the premium method, and other times you can have your option. Sometimes the premium method can end up in some states allowing you to the company to pay less in workers' comp insurance premiums. All right, let's take a look at number 15. In number 15, Stephanie earns $2,650 a month, a salary, and she's expected to work a 37.5-hour week for that. If she happens to work more than 37.5 hours in a week, but less than 40, she will get paid for those extra hours, but she gets paid at her regular rate. If she works over 40 hours, then she gets paid at time and a half. So one of our first steps is that we have to figure out, well, what is her regular rate? And as we have done in the past, with a monthly salary, we have to push it up to annual and then back it back down. So we're going to start with that. Start with the $26.50. And that's per month. I'm going to multiply it by 12 months. That's $31,800. Then I'm going to back it back down. So I'm going to divide it by 52 weeks in the year to get it down to a weekly amount. $611.54. And I'm going to divide it by how many hours does she normally work for this amount of money, which is 37.5. Divide by 37.5. And that's $16.31. Okay? So that is her regular rate. Alright, so now we know that she has 6 hours of overtime. 4 of those hours are at regular rate of $16.31 an hour, and 2 of those overtime hours are at time and a half. So let's figure the 4 first. So we have $16.31. We're going to multiply that times the 4 regular hours of overtime. And that's $65.24. Then she's got 2 hours of overtime that are at time and a half because they were above the 40 mark. So we're going to take the 1631 and multiply it times time and a half. And we get 2447. That is her overtime rate. And I'm going to take her overtime rate times how many of these overtime hours that were above 40, which was 2. And that's 48.94. Okay, so now let's total these things up. Okay, her regular monthly pay is the $26.50. That covers all the weeks in the month where she worked at least 37.5 hours. Then we have the overtime that it's a straight pay, the overtime hours that were between 37.5 and 40, and that was 65.24. Then we're going to add the overtime hours for the true overtime that was above the 40 hours, and that's 48.94. And so we get for her gross wages $2,764.18. Now, if I wanted to know how much was just her overtime, I would add the 65.24 and the 48.94, and I would get 114.18. That's her total overtime. Okay,